So it's one thing I'm trying to instill with my kids to take responsibility. So if you engage with any type of program, whether it's ours, someone else's, buy a book, engage with it, work with it, dive into it and execute. You're the biggest roadblock in your business, not your competitor, not your marketing budget, it's you. So the biggest thing I learned was as soon as I smacked myself in the face with that, took responsibility and just rolled with it and got on with it. One, there's no one else to blame. Two, I had control. And three, I just enjoyed the process.
You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Welcome back to another episode. With us today is the CEO and co-founder of Growth Forum, David Fastuca, where they help you build a systemized sales engine that attracts, engages, and converts new deals to fuel your business. David, so excited to have you on today. How you doing?
I'm great, Chris. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. So we always like to ask our guests, what were you doing before and how did that lead you into what you're doing today?
So previously to starting Growth Forum, I was CMO and co-founder alongside my cousin Ross in a business travel tech company. So basically it competed with the likes of SAP, Concur, Navan over in the US, and it just helped organizations streamline their business travel in a lot more efficient way.
Nice. That is really cool. And let's fast track into what you're doing today. Tell me more about this business, who you're working with, how you're helping them exactly, because it seems like you have kind of this system and process in place. What does that entail?
Yeah, so it's a great operation. And how it sort of came about was with my previous company, we had built and sold it. We exited the company in 2016. We sold to a listed company in the US called Travelport. And then the dreaded sort of COVID hit and affected a lot of businesses, a lot more so in the travel space. So to fast track that sort of story into 2021, my cousin and I, we reacquired the business. But this time round, I needed some help on the sales front. I've always been in a sales and marketing sort of role, led that initiative. And my co-founder, now Growth Forum, I got him to help me because we had two avenues with Locomo. Obviously, no one was traveling in COVID. So it was like, we need to hold on to this asset because it was a great asset that we had built over time, ride out COVID, and then just try and do a quick flip. Or do we try and build the business up and have a great book of customers that once COVID eases, we can almost ride it out and hockey stick up from there. But the issue was, how the heck do I sell a business travel tech platform when companies were scrambling to organize their remote workforce? It was basically last on the agenda, right? I think even getting toilet paper was much higher on the list back then, right? So I got Louis, I'm like, dude, I need to work out a framework, a system, refine my messaging. I need to talk to CFOs because that was their main probably target at that time. How do I make this a high priority that they'll even listen to me, let alone take a follow-on demo call? So together we worked out a process and a system and in play, which was a great experience in itself. I got a lot of energy from doing that and a lot of more energy when the system started to work. So over a period of 8 months of implementing that sales operating system, I was able to generate by myself 150 mil pipeline at that time, which was amazing, and was able to convert a lot of that coming out of COVID, which then enabled the company, Locomo, to then go and raise a Series B out of that. And since that, I fell in love with that process of working with Louis and the system we created. And I'm like, man, if this could work for such a dormant business in probably the most economic challenging time, like it wasn't a low priority. It's like you couldn't even make revenue because no one was traveling. I'm like, this can really impact a lot of businesses. I loved buying back the business, Locomo, at the time, but it wasn't a passion of mine, business travel. It was just something I wanted to do. I had some unfinished business. Moved on from that business in 2023. My cousin's still running it now, doing an amazing job. And we formed Growth Forum and we productized the business up where we provide this system and framework in the form of coaching and training. Then we work with the founding team to execute on it. So we make sure they get some runs on the board that actually works, and then work with them if it doesn't to get to the point that it does work amazingly well. Then we help install an outsourced team that can pick this up for them and run the sales process, knowing that they're going to hit revenue because the system works. And then we provide continual training resources to ensure that team stays at KPI and smashes their targets. So I hope that gives a
Nice.
good little summary.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it shows that your calculated risk back then to invest in something that you were revisiting and wasn't looking good, but you were still able to make something happen.
It was like hindsight. It was like, oh, that's a good decision. At the time, we're like, are we just dead set crazy that we're doing?
Right.
Buys a travel company, like technology travel company during COVID. Again, right? Like the company's trying to sell it because it's making no money. It's costing them money because you got the tech was costing upwards of 50K a month because of all the systems and integrations to keep the lights on.
Right.
So yeah, hindsight, good idea. But at the time, there was a few bullets of sweat coming down the forehead.
Absolutely. But the system that you created, obviously it works. You're teaching it to others, helping them, coaching them, and then helping them to execute it. What is missing? What is that secret sauce that allowed you to get in front of those CFOs that made them actually pay attention?
Yeah, great question. I think there was two components if I look back and reflect on what worked. One was the messaging. So before you reach out to someone, like what we teach within Growth Forum is about outbound prospecting, right? Which means going to someone cold and you being the seller, founder, having total control over how many targets you reach out to, which is the opposite of, say, paid media, paid advertising, where you spend, say $10,000 a day, $1,000, and you're hoping for people to get booked on to your calendar. So I think the key thing was, how do we earn the right to get onto our buyer persona's calendar? Okay, we need to have a point of view. We need to have a really strong message that's going to want them to take action. So there's a bit of trial and error to work through that, to get that message right. The second component was, okay, what is going to be our outreach motion? Are we going to do email, cold call, reach out to them on LinkedIn, send them a video? The answer to that was all of the above, because while there's millions of products out there and they do a great job where they focus purely on one channel, whether it be just purely email or purely call, the thing is we're humans and we interact with and respond in different ways. So while I might see the email, I might ignore it. I'll then ignore a phone call, but then the LinkedIn message I'll accept. And the LinkedIn message will then reference, hey, David, sent you a call, sent you a message, also emailed you. This is what I want to chat about. So it's meeting the customer where they're most active. And that can be across any of those platforms. But I've secured meetings from obviously the traditional email, phone call, albeit scary for people, is a way to really cut through. So we love the phone. No matter what anyone says, we'll never die. Booked meetings via SMS and WhatsApp, link and send them the video. So what we did then, what really worked was having the right message and then having the right sort of sequence and cadence that we will go after and execute on. So I was always never the first or second attempt. It was often the 12th, 13th attempt that someone would react and respond and agree to take a call, because there's so much noise that every day, if you pick up your phone right now, look at the little notifications bar, I guarantee there's quite a high number across various different apps, right? So you just need to be persistent on that side.
Those are all some really great tips, because a lot of people struggle with more of the outbound focus marketing instead of the inbound where customers are coming to you. It does take some time to prospect, consider who's your audience, your offer, your message, put that together, and some testing is required until you start really hitting that mark. Then that's something you can scale and start tailoring and tweaking. But the multi-channel approach is wonderful. I agree. So many focus on just one, but it's something that you realize, wow, yeah, people do want to meet at different areas. They're on different channels, meet them where they want to connect.
Exactly. Look, it's just one of those things where it's not fancy, it's not harder, right? But it works and it will always work. And we leverage AI across all these different touch points to help us, to provide us with the insight, to do the legwork where you would need to do manually in the past. But nothing replaces that multi-channel approach, because the results just don't lie. I think our worst performing member within Growth Forum that's running the system is getting a 38% response rate from their outbound and it's why we're so passionate, and you could probably hear it through the voice on outbound, because it's the one marketing and sales tactic that you can honestly predict, because it's based on activity and results of that individual. As a business owner, you can forecast out. You can say, okay, cool. Jane generates this amount of revenue once she does X amount of activity. John does this variance and brings in this activity. So the system and the framework works. If we want to scale, we can expect this type of variance across the board of our sales team. We just need to ensure that we are enabling our team to execute. There is definitely a place for paid media and all the likes. We use it, we leverage it, but it's not the thing that we rely on to grow the business. Even the likes of HubSpot, Stripe, they have a hardcore sales team inbuilt with the business that we actually train to execute on their inbound leads, and they do their own prospecting as well for outbound. So if those big boys understand the importance of it, then us smaller companies need to see what's working for them, because we don't have the budgets of a HubSpot and Stripe and a brand name to rely on. So we need to have boots on the ground and go to where the customers are.
Absolutely. And we definitely need to follow in their footsteps to see what's working. And now AI tech tools are making it more accessible for a lot of these solopreneurs, small businesses to be able to utilize these now. And that's kind of what you're bringing to the table, which is perfect. Your previous travel venture with that one, was that a B2C environment, or were you kind of were your clients more the business side?
It was B2B. It was purely
Okay.
B2B. Yeah. So we're all going after businesses. There'll be a company where, let's just call it Facebook, for example. They weren't a customer, but we'll use them as an example. They've got a whole range of their team. They need to travel for whatever reason. And there's a process in place. I need to get my manager to approve my request for travel. Then I need to book flights, hotels, and there's a policy around that based on cost and all these sort of factors. Then that goes through approval, or if it's under cost, it's automatically approved. A whole range of things, like very complex side of stuff, driven, but the tool just handled that beautifully. So that was that focus. It wasn't like an Expedia.com type approach. Yeah, it was more B2B stuff.
No, absolutely. I was just curious if it was similar strategies previously, or if you were kind of shifting gears, because the buyer's journey is much different from B2C to B2B. So the people that you help, we talked a little bit before about your ideal client. Who is kind of the overreaching character of who you help?
So it's basically a B2B founder that sells either some piece of product, technology, or service offering that requires them to get onto a phone and talk to someone, right? Because the value they provide is in the thousands. It might be $1,000 a month, $10,000 a year, whatever it is. It's not a simple, I'm just going to buy this widget. It's a $20 license and give it a shot. It's something that needs some form of convincing. So in order to get the book call into your calendar, there's a bit of a F. Then you need to ensure that you run a great first call discovery to ensure you get to the bottom of why they took, what drove them to accept to take the call, what's driving them to look at potentially making a change. How do you bring them on that journey to understand that you and your solution could be the one to solve that? And then how then from that first meeting, do you then nurture them through to close? How do you get the other buyers on board that you don't meet and are behind the scenes? How do you engage with them and make them known of your brand? Because they're often the deal killers, because you don't get a chance to talk to them. So these are the conversations that I had with you not in the room. So there's a process around how do you manage that? It's quite a process, but once it's down pat, it just feels quite natural once you go through it. And it can seem like there's a lot of steps in there, but it's just all part of, in order to win a deal these days, it's becoming harder and harder with the amount of competition that's out there. So you need to provide an amazing buying experience, because before they use the product or service, the salesperson or founder, whoever's doing the selling, you're the first impression. So if they have a great buying experience with you and the brand, then they can expect an amazing product and service experience after. But if they have a poor experience at the start, then you're setting the expectations quite low, and they might even churn out before they even adopt the product itself. So it's one thing that we as founders and myself as well have learned over time how important the cold front of the business is.
Absolutely. It's not just about getting the appointments onto the calendar, but really kind of setting ourselves up for success once that demo appointment comes around. You kind of went into it a little bit already, but how should we be setting ourselves up for success when it comes to these demo appointments? Is there a structure we should follow? Anything that can be helpful for them?
Yeah, this is where AI is great. So definitely do some research, and more than surface level research. There's nothing I hate more. And I reckon I've canceled calls when someone's selling to me and they're like, tell me what you do. I'm like, come on, man. Your company, whoever has spent money to get me on your calendar, and you haven't even looked on my website or LinkedIn to see what it is I do and what it is I could be looking for. And now I've got to waste 10, 15 minutes of this 30-minute call explaining to you what I do. And then you have to think on the fly how your product and service offering is going to work for me. It's like, that's 101 stuff. So this is where you can leverage AI to do a little bit of research. If they're a public company or if they've got any records, you can feed it all that and then just ask for some insights to share based on what you do. Come prepared. If you haven't, I would rather someone bump me and push me 15 minutes later and be prepared with research than come cold on the call. And you're looking at like typically 5 minutes now with the right AI prompt and feeding it with the right details that you can get some really good insights on me and what I may potentially lead. And we can have a really good, productive conversation. All right. So that's just real basic stuff that people still do wrong today.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's just adding friction into their buying experience. And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm just wasting my time or wasting your time. Meet me middle, do some work, put in that effort. I think it shows between your demos, between like, hey, I already personalized this demo experience for you. It's trained on your website sort of deal versus, hey, welcome. So who are you? Tell me about you. That unfortunately is not going to work.
I'll never forget, these have come from learnings, obviously. So I would run a demo of our travel platform and we'll go through all the bells and whistles. And it's literally to show everything. It's like 2 hours. So I'm rushing through it because I've got people on for 30 minutes, 45. And then I'll never forget, Louis, my co-founder in Growth One, reviewed some of my calls and he's like, you just feature vomiting all over them, right? And you're giving them everything that probably like 50%, maybe even more is not relevant to them. He goes, just stop, ask a question, right? Because a lot of these tools do a lot of the same thing. We had some really great nuances that was our power. So it was like leading with asking them, what is the key objective? What is the key job that you're looking to do? And then let's just show you that. Everything else, if we've got time, I can show you bits and pieces else, but just expect it works, right? It's been here for a long time. It works. And it works similar to what you've experienced in the past. But you're here to make a change, to move from an existing provider or to pick this up because you want to replace something. What is that? Let's go into that. As soon as I made that small change, I wasn't rushing on my demos. It was super hyper relevant. And I was putting myself into the 1% because my competitors weren't doing that. They were just trying to show everything where I could spend more time, like 80% of the time, just focusing on that core 1 or 2 things that they wanted to solve that would have them go, oh, I need this now. All right. And that was a great situation to get in. But again, I was blind at that time of doing that. Look, many of us are.
That's exactly it. We're all making mistakes. Many people only see the one successful thing that we've done instead of the 9 failures before it. But each mistake we make, this is a learning lesson. As long as we can learn from it, make some adjustments, pivot, and then do better, then we're going to set ourselves up for success. So now we've got them from being interested into booking the demo. We've got a better demo presentation. It's tailored to them. How does the closing process look like? Are we looking to get an answer right there? Is this a couple meetings? Is this take a little bit of time? Do you need to meet for dinner as well?
Yeah, look, that's interesting. And I hate answering it like this, but it depends. It depends on what you're selling, the value of it, where they are in the buying journey. Like, are they ready to make a change now because this is part of their project? They've got a priority to launch, or are they just shopping around looking because this is on their radar for later in the year? So once you've determined that, the second stage sort of kicks in. So it's like, okay, cool. After this call, they might need another demo or 2 or whatever it is. But say you're going on a 2-call sort of close scenario. After the first call, we always prescribe providing your prospect with a discovery document. So basically, we're hoping you've got some AI recording the call, or if you're in person, you're taking really good notes or have an AI tool there just to help so you can focus on them, the customer, and not having to distract yourself with other things. But present like a couple pager on, this is everything we spoke about. Am I aligned to where you are? So getting their buy-in, basically. You could do this really simple over a shared Google Doc with edit access, or you can go fancy with the buyer enablement tools out there. But you basically want them to engage with this document for two reasons. One, make sure you're hitting everything that they need solved. Two, that they actually care. So they're jumping into the document and they're getting people access. Three, because you could do this where you just invite them. They might say, hey, Dave, can you invite Sally, John, and Rob, because I need them to look at it. You're like, oh, okay. Now I know who these other people in the buyer committee are, because they're going to have a bit of say into this. Great. Now I can see who's asking what questions. I can connect with them on LinkedIn. I'm opening up my circle of influence. Right. So now we've got this discovery doc. Then you're like, great, there's some actions on here. I'm going to come back to you with just a personalized proposal. And you might have a pricing model where it's $1,000 a month, whatever it is. Don't just flick that over. Just try and have a bit more. This is what increases close rates from your 30, 40% to up to 70 to 80 is when you go, cool. I'm just going to tweak a few things so it's really relevant for you. Now, the pricing may not change at all, but the messaging on that document will, because the person you're talking to may not be the person that signs off. They might have to flick this to the CEO, founder, CFO, whoever might be. So think about it from that view. Think about it from who's going to look at this page. They're going to look at, make it simple, make it talk to them, and then obviously the pricing, because most time people just flick to the pricing page. So you want to make sure that you've got the buy-in and you're talking to them and it's not a vanilla proposal. And before you send it, you're like, cool, I've got everything ready. I just want to run through with this on a quick call just to make sure we've nailed everything, and then let me know who I need to send this to. So you're not sending them the proposal. You're not showing them the price yet. The price might be on your website, so they know that. So the second call is, cool, are we aligned? Have we ticked everything off? Here's the document. Who does this need to go to? I can send this to you, or do I need to send it to someone? It's a good little qualifying open question where 9 times out of 10, you're going to send it to the person you're talking to. But they might say, oh, I need John in the CFO to check this off. Okay, cool. Just send it to me. But in my head, I'm like, I'm going to connect with that person. So now he or she knows that I'm engaging with your team, and they might do some background research on me, right? So then you've done that, and you're always locking in the next step. So it's what we call fan bam, follow up with a booking after the booking. So you want to book another meeting after that. So it's like, cool, if I'm selling it to you, I'll be like, Chris, here it is here. I'll send you the proposal after the call. What's next steps? And then you might say, I've got a meeting with the board in 2 weeks' time. It'd be like, cool. I'm just going to throw a tentative for the day after that meeting, just as a touch base. It's in our calendar. We can move it if we need to, but it's in there just so we're not doing the bouts back and forth via email. All right, cool, great. And you've got that locked in, because even if they ghost you or they cancel out, there's always a reason, and there's an investment of time that's in your calendar, and you're not doing that dreaded following up after the meeting. How did you go? That calendar invite is powerful. That's the process that happens there. So there's a lot there that I just went through.
That is absolutely wonderful. And the more, the better, because understanding that problem solution, really asking questions, leading them through that journey, getting the next steps, it's all a part of the buyer's journey that even 1 or 2 pieces are missing, you're going to reduce your close rates. Why wouldn't you want to have the best chance for success? I think that's what it's all about. Speaking of success and great knowledge that you're sharing with us, you have a new book coming out. I have to ask more about that. What is it all about? When is it coming?
Awesome. So by the time you listen to this episode, it will be live. So we're going to obviously have a link in the notes section, but if you just visit growforum.io/book, they'll give you access to everything. It is pretty much everything and much more that I just spoke about. It's our whole program condensed into book form. If you're looking on video, I'm just showing the cover. It's called the B2B Sales Playbook. It's a hardcore tactical guide on how to create an operating system that generates qualified deals. So we coach you chapter by chapter in the book. We give you the resources, everything you need that we provide in our program, just in book form, that you can really nail your sales system. It's one of those choose your own adventures as well. So you don't have to read it front to back, because a lot of people buy a book and then it gathers dust. But you might have one particular problem. You might be great at generating leads, but want to improve your close rate. Awesome. Just go to that chapter, get all the resources, get the coaching, and away you go. Make the improvements today. There's a little bit of a journey map there where you can choose where you want to be and where you are right now. You can start from scratch, or you can just prescribe what you need yourself. So we poured our heart and soul into this book, almost 2 years in the making. It's anyone that's thinking of writing a book. I reckon I could write a book about how to make a book now, because it's a business in itself. It's hectic, but I'm super proud. I want this on the desk of every founder out there. Even if price is limiting for anyone, hit me up on LinkedIn and I'll just send you a free copy. For us, this book is about having impact and helping people make change within their business and serving who they serve in a better way. Get the book. It really does help. I'm referencing myself when I need a kick in the butt on something that I forget to do, because we're not perfect. And that's a good litmus test, right? If eating our own dog food, as the saying goes, we've got something really special there. So I'm really pumped to get it out there.
That is wonderful. And we'll have that link available down in the show notes and description as well. But where else can people connect with you and find you online and learn more?
I'm really active on LinkedIn. So just reach out to me, David Fastuca on LinkedIn. We give away just a ton of information and gold, and I love a chat on LinkedIn. I'm very active there. So yeah, please reference this episode, hit me up, and I'd love to connect.
Wonderful. Now, what is on the docket for 2025? We got the book launch that's going to be timed. You're putting everything together. This is kind of that next big step up. It's 2 years in the making. So is this just kind of like amplifying everything that you've been doing already and pushing it to the max?
It's something where we've always wanted to write the book. It's an effort in itself to do it. So it's been a long journey for that. We basically know that we've got the system, the skills to help. The book part was to help build the authority there that we're here for the long term, right? It's not just a time investment, it's a major cost investment to do this. So we're not a fly-by-night sort of program that we're looking to do. This for me and for Louis is like a forever business. Like I love sales and marketing. It's changing weekly. So there's always something new to learn. So we just want to instill the confidence with the people that we work with that we're going to be with you on this journey, no matter how long it takes. And we're always going to make sure that whatever we're sharing, we're practicing ourselves. And we want to try and get you to the point where you need to get to within your business to give you the best life possible.
That's beautiful, David. I love everything you share. You have a lot of knowledge. You shared everything with us today. Wanted to give you the floor. Is there any imparting wisdom you want to share with our audience? Potentially anything that if you could go back in time and teach yourself to change, what would you tell yourself? Or anything you just want to share with our audience here?
Yeah, it's a bit like going to gym. You can buy a gym membership, but it's up to you to go to the gym. And then once you're there, it's up to you to do the reps and the sets to get to the physique or to get to the health goal that you want to get. And business is no different, right? It's easy to blame the agency, this person, that person, but the buck stops with you. So it's one thing I'm trying to instill with my kids, to take responsibility. So if you engage with any type of program, whether it's ours, someone else's, buy a book, engage with it, work with it, dive into it and execute. You're the biggest roadblock in your business, not your competitor, not your marketing budget, it's you. So the biggest thing I learned was as soon as I smacked myself in the face with that, took responsibility and just rolled with it and got on with it. 1, there's no one else to blame. 2, I had control. And 3, I just enjoyed the process.
That's the truth, man. It really is. It's that difference between if a book is going to be self-help or self-help. It's up to you to execute, to take the action. You have to put in the time and the reps. That is so true. David, we appreciate you coming on and sharing everything with us. Congratulations. Really excited to watch this next evolution of your business and yourself. Keep up the great work. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.